Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritual Underground. Welcome back if you're a regular listener, and welcome for the first time if you've just stumbled upon this. And if that's the case, I'll let you know this started out as a primarily 12-step recovery based podcast, and that is where my roots are at. That's where the gunk got removed off of me so that I could be more of who I really am. And so that was my roots. But over time, the podcast, I guess, has grown into the level that I have people coming from all over the world that want to be on here. And I always think of everybody as like light carriers, forces for good, and people who are just wanting to share their tools with other people to hopefully improve the quality of their life. I remember an old AA speaker saying, to seek out that which improves the quality of your life in recovery. And 12-step recovery was a springboard for me. And it opened up the door to be able to be open to a lot of other stuff. And um, some of the Western spirituality, let's just use that word, had me like thinking that I had to stay in this box in this realm. And recovery allowed me to open up that box and see that I didn't have to be in a single box. I could actually draw on another one of my friend's quotes was, he said to me once, he said, I try to draw from all the ancient spiritual teachings into my life. And that, it was like he gave me permission to do that day. And it's still in my heart. I was like, really, you can do that. You don't just have to be Baptist or Catholic or whatever. You can actually just be whatever you want to be. And he's like, yeah, man. And things broke loose as a result of that. And my guest today comes from a realm that I would have poo-pooed some years ago. A lot of things, crystals, essential oils, meditation, heck, sobriety. All this stuff I would have poo-pooed at one point in my life, and recovery's allowed me to have an open heart to see what I can draw from these other people who are carrying around tools that I don't have. My guest today is Janis King. She's coming to us from the UK, from England proper, right?
Yes,
That's
proper.
that's awful cool to be able to do this across the ponds and all over the world, and be able to get to know people that have been very little chance I would have gotten to meet you without this podcast and without this technology. So that's pretty cool. How are you doing on
Yeah.
this Monday morning? Or what day, what time? I guess you're 5 hours later. So is that right?
Yeah, it's 4 in the
Yeah, that's it.
afternoon here, Dan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
So
and
good
it's
afternoon.
very, very lovely to meet you too. And it's a kind of miracle, isn't it, this? It is amazing. Technology, when it works well and it serves us, it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so ha very happy to be here and thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled to take part. I really am. And I love what you were saying about, us having permission to explore lots of different types of spirituality and to take from the world's wisdom, I think, is the way I would, there is so much wisdom out there that it is a shame to just be limited to one. And surely that's how we find our truth, by asking questions and by asking, well, what do those guys know over there? And is that useful? Could that help me? Could I lean into that? And I think that's fascinating, and I think it's a wonderful thing that you stepped into that and have embraced it.
Well, thank you. Yeah. At some point, I started thinking that, and again, anything I say is stuff's been taught to me. I don't know that I've ever acquired any knowledge organically, really. It's always come from other people. And the fact that, somebody told me once, and I don't know this is true, but, there's cave carvings in opposite ends of this globe that are both indicating something above, some power greater, some, we can't really understand what they were saying, but that's what it looks like the hieroglyphics are doing. And millions of I don't know how many thousands, let's just go hundreds of thousands of years ago, tens of thousands of years ago, every society, it seems, had some kind of idea about something bigger than them that they could lean on and work on, and it's interesting to me that, I was so blocked off to that for so long. And
Yeah.
and of course they would have different ideas, right? They're on opposite sides of the globe. There's no way those two ideas could perfectly align. But if you can step back, you see that the basic principles mostly align. Most people are all that stuff, and my background's in 12-step recovery, and somebody brings another modality, and we're talking. I can instantly see the parallels that it's like this 12-step stuff is just written in a different language. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's just
Yeah.
it's the same thing,
Yeah.
and that broadens me. I don't know. There's something that helps me to have that, to see that, and recognize it. Gets me out of that wondering if I'm in the right box because that's the way I grew up. I grew up
Mm.
wondering, one of these is right. That means that some of them are wrong. That
Mm.
was what I thought. And I was scared to death to pick the wrong one. I
Yeah.
didn't want to do the work that it would take to figure out which one was right. So I just discarded all of it, you
Yeah.
know, and went on my merry way doing what Dan wanted to do, which didn't end up really. I mean, it was fun and I did have a good time, but when it quit working and it was no fun anymore, it was really no fun anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
tell me a little about
Um,
your journey and how you got, like I said, I wasn't born the man I am. I probably was actually. I think more of this recovery thing of getting to be who I am, not getting to be who I am not. It's sloughing off the stuff that I'm not. So, but there was a journey involved in getting here, and everybody has that. So,
Oh
tell,
yeah.
tell me a little
Yeah,
bit
I
more.
mean, and that's part of the fun, isn't it? That's part of the fun of life that, that journey of discovery is part of the adventure. I mean, I came from a very, well, I mean, a non-religious background, I guess. I mean, I was sent to Sunday school and then didn't want to go, and that was all fine. Um, I had some experience in the esoteric side of things. My aunt read playing cards, catamancy it's called. So, I was familiar with that side of things. But I straddled two lines because when I was about 6, we moved to Scotland, and our next door neighbors were big Salvation Army goers. I don't know. Do you have the Salvation Army in the States? Yeah. And I was a very lost little girl, very lost little girl, and quite unhappy. And they started taking me to meetings. Right. My parents didn't know. I would just go next door, play with the daughter, and then I would go with them to the meetings. And I absolutely loved it. And they made me feel so welcome. And they told me I could shake the tambourine in the parade. And it was fantastic. And they were also nice to me all the time. And all of a sudden, I wasn't the naughty kid. I was just this little girl that apparently people liked. And that was very attractive to me. And then one day they said I should go up to the front and take this vow that, I was going to serve Jesus. And I was very happy to do that because Jesus sounded like a pretty nice guy. And I thought, well, I can be a good girl. So I did that. Then I came home and told my dad what had happened, and he freaked out completely and went next door and just literally banged on the door and just went, "What? How dare you taking my daughter to some church and signing her up? This is..." And so he sort of forbade me from going ever again.
Mm,
And but weirdly, I had this odd experience all through that time, and I don't know when it started. I just became aware of it, that there was this woman in white robes that I was sort of aware of. And I called her the White Witch, and I didn't know. I only called her a witch because she was wearing these long white robes. I had no idea. But I used to sense her on my periphery. I
mm,
didn't ever see her, but I was just aware of her, and she was around me all the time. And I have a feeling that perhaps that came from my connection, because I now think that probably she's a nun, or she was a nun.
mm,
And so I just started with this interest in spirituality. And I think that's where it sort of began. But I struggled with Christianity as I got older, um, because of some of the should we say, more prescriptive elements of it, how you can and can't be, who you can and can't love, and what is and isn't sin, and this whole thing of the devil. And it really didn't sit well with me at all. And then on the other side, I was sort of encouraged to um, get more involved in the esoteric side of things. And went to a Spiritist church. They gave me, my mum volunteered me. I went with her. I didn't go myself. I just went to keep her company. They gave me this ring, told me to say what I saw, and I said what I saw, and then everybody got very excited and said, "Oh, you have to go into development." And I just went, "Oh no, dead people, yuck. No, thank you. I want to do what I want to do in life." I was very keen not to follow anybody else's path. So I kind of rejected everything, including this woman in white robes who I told to leave me alone and go away. So I was a somewhat, yeah, I was a feisty one, and so I kind of rejected all of it. But I was later on, I was a performer, and I had a singing teacher who handed me a cassette. I'm that old now,
Me
called
too.
called the Pink Bubble Technique, which was a meditation visualization, now what we call manifestation technique.
Hmm.
And it was almost like it just went crack, and I was just in it. And it would just, I can do this. I understand, this makes sense to me. And that started me being very interested in energy and how much power we have in life and all of that side of things. So that was my path in, if you like, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You had said something that kind of made me think about, you were talking about this, um, the gal in the white dress. Then and then a minute later you used the word spiritual, started you on this spiritual thing, well, that's the other thing about, like, we kind of keyhole in 12-step recovery. People come in and we talk about spiritual, and around here in the US, they instantly go to our organized religions.
Yeah.
Instantly. They can't help it.
Yeah, of course.
And I couldn't help it either when I got here.
Yeah.
But I kind of redefined that, or over time, that it's actually the spirit that's inside of me, my soul,
Yeah.
my essence, the very core of my being that will still be around even when this body is shot. And that's the spiritual for me that I am trying to grow and work on and cultivate and fertilize and that kind of thing. But it made me think, like that spirit that was guiding you or alongside, that was to me, it made me think of a spirit, and I
Yeah,
like too
absolutely.
also that, how you said, okay, yeah, this is kind of like when I said, when a podcast guest comes in and I see the email, I know within seconds whether if that's a fit or not, and we all, I think, have that innocent, and it's like we have antennas. I was talking to a guest the other day, and they're like crusted up, they get
Yeah.
crusted up and they're really not receiving too well. And you found something, that instantly you went, hey, yeah, I can get with this. And it
Mm,
landed with your spirit, and the opposite happens too at times, right? You go, ooh,
mm.
I like it. You said the devil or whatever, and that's kind
Yeah.
of the same place I sit too. And I don't really know what that is, but there is some energy that repels me. And I have learned to work with both of those things. When something
Mm.
calls me, I move forward into it. And when something is the other way, I know today that my antennas tell me, yeah, create a little distance between you and that. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
that's not sitting well in here. But that had to be cultivated, and maybe I had to get the rust off of my antenna or whatever. But like you said, being a kid, I felt very lost also. Not You'll hear it all the time in 12-step recovery. People say, I just don't feel comfortable in my own skin. I don't feel like I fit in. Having a lot of
Yeah.
trouble. And that's exactly me for most of my childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough. And I think, the for those of us who felt like that, we are looking for a place to belong, and yeah, we moved around a lot when I was growing up, and
That's
I
so
think I
true.
went to 7 different schools, and I always sort of felt like the kid on the outside, and it is a difficult place to be, and you can go, and I got a bit prickly about the whole thing, and it's like, I just, don't tell me what to do, I'm just gonna, roar, kind of try and be as sort of independent as possible, and it was an interesting thing. The Salvation Army thing, I mean, I'm not drawn to that now because obviously it's a very strict system and that wouldn't sit with me at all. Um, but the idea that, it was just certainly on the face of it, it appeared very accepting. And that's what drew me to it. I don't think perhaps it is quite as accepting as it had appeared to me when I was 6, but it was that energy that really pulled me in, the warmth of it and the fact that it felt very loving and caring. And that, I think, that's what we crave as human beings. We crave connection. We crave that loving connection that, and we have to make sure that what's on offer is actually what's going to be delivered.
Yeah, yeah. And I think sometimes life opens a gate for you to walk through, and it doesn't
Yeah,
mean you got to hang around at the hinge of that gate,
yeah,
which is kind of like what I think about, that opens something up for you
yeah,
to pass through and move to whatever it was that was next waiting for you, and had you like resisted that gate,
mm,
for whatever reason that I want to make up in my mind that, I don't like that. I ain't going down that way. You may miss what's actually, down the road that you do, and I see that. It seems that life has seasons like that, that like some of my people, they'll listen, but this is just my truth. The rigidness of 12-step recovery is feeling less comfortable for me. That stay on the line. Don't step either side. Talk will be like, if you step off this line, you'll die. You can't survive without us, that kind of stuff. And that starts getting to be in a rigidity that's not feeling like, hold on a minute. That's not the way it was when I walked in the door. That's not the way you made me feel. That's
yeah,
not the way. And maybe it was, and maybe I needed that for a while, but there's been other things in my life that were very beneficial to me, but it didn't have staying power or whatever, or something happened and I like to think of it just as I said it a minute ago, there was a gate that was open for me to walk through that was a kind of a necessary gate to walk through to get to whatever was beyond that gate.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
another,
And there's
another,
signposts as well,
another.
aren't they? The
Yeah,
dam, each one of these things is a signpost. Come down this road, see what's down here, and even if that's not the end point, even if that's not where you stick, you've still gained experience and knowledge and a wider understanding from exploring it.
yeah,
So I think it's all good.
yeah,
And I hear you with the rigidity thing. I think um that's why I've struggled with whatever, religious, in the true sense of the word, sort of religious structures. They just all feel that they give you this rule book that you have to follow to the letter, or bad things will happen, right? Um, and and again, sometimes that's useful to people. It's never really worked for me though. And I always have too many questions. Even with tarot, it's been the same. Not the same as in rigid, but I had a lot of questions which I didn't feel were answered. And I need things to make sense to me. If there's a hole in it that doesn't
Mm.
make sense, I'm going to pick at that. I'm going to go in there and just fiddle around with that hole until either it breaks or it solves itself. And so one of the things that, I've done on my tarot journey is I've got my own deck, and I have this new book. But that's because I had questions about tarot and the laws. I use the word law as in LORE, not law, but the stories that run through tarot. And some of those stories, which, well, this is just what it is. It's just the way it is. That's what we're told. This is just the way it is, right? And I found myself going, well, but it doesn't make sense. And I need it to make sense for me to get behind it. I need to find a version that sits properly, that I can go, yes, that's that. I can square the circle, if you like. Um, and so that's been my passion, really, to find a version of a spiritual model or some sort of spiritual thing that makes sense in
Yeah.
the real world, makes sense, that I don't have to just go, well, you just have to have faith. And that's fine. Having faith is great. It really is. But it has to ground itself in me to the point where it's not about belief, it just is. And
Yeah.
it becomes a truth in life. And that's, I think, what I've personally wanted to find, and I think I'm pretty much there with it, which is great. Although we all stay open, there's always more to find.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like every time I think I got something figured out, there'll be some new information
Oh
lands in
yeah,
my lap, and I go,
absolutely.
oh, wait. Uh, yeah. I don't know. I've seen a couple phrases. Well, right now the word truth is being tossed around in my country in a weird way.
Yeah, yeah,
What is the truth, and where is it? And just because it comes to me on these multiple devices I have certainly doesn't make it the truth.
this is
We've
true.
always said that, and I've always kind of joked around about, well, we read it on the internet, so it must be true.
Mm,
But that is like, again, hyper-inflated today of like, oh yeah, um, uh, no, I'm not so sure. And then another guy I listened to talks about in a couple different people this our search for meaning, our search for what makes sense.
yeah,
What are these like living life tools that actually work, make sense. The biblical thing, the fruits of your labor, is it creating fruit? Is it
yeah, yeah,
something that is beneficial in my life or no?
yeah,
Is it
yeah.
creating fruit for others as well? I can't just live in a silo and sit here and make myself happy. and
Mm,
and I've tried that. That didn't, that worked for a while, but there was an end to it. So trying to find out what this meaning thing, and to on my thing on my little statement on my podcast page, to try to make the most of what I'm supposed to be doing on my this trip on this big blue marble. Uh,
yeah,
and some days it doesn't feel like I want to do that, and some days I'm scratching for, what is next?
yeah,
Where's
yeah.
the next portal that I can. So when you were writing a book about this, I would imagine to some extent you're probably fleshing out a lot of this, like question marks. I would be my guess. It probably would, and I'm putting words out there, but I'm feeling it, that it was more of an effort to kind of flesh some stuff out rather than like document what you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was a voyage of discovery for sure. And the writing of the book and putting the deck together, it was quite an odd experience because I mean, I won't take through the entire long-winded story, but um I had asked for the next level in my practice, in my own journey, and I had asked for the next level. And historically for me, whenever I've asked for that, um, I've been answered with a wrecking ball of some sort. It's like, oh yeah, okay, we can do that. Whack. And suddenly, everything gets rearranged and reordered in dramatic fashion. And I had come up with this. So I'd gone to visit my son after I had visited this spiritual college in Stansted called the Arthur Findlay College, and I'd had a very profound and life-changing experience there, and which was really amazing. Came back really feeling it, and went to visit my son. And my son is a game designer, board games, not video games. And he also reads tarot because of who his mama is, right? So he reads as well. And we kind of were just messing about, really, laying the tarot on the floor and just just if we were going to make a game out of this, how would we do it? And we were just riffing with it, really. And we laid it out in this pattern, and all of a sudden I saw these connections which I'd never seen before. And it just kind of like something goes click in your head, and it's like, oh, okay, well, now I have to do this, and I want to see it like this. And suddenly this idea for a deck came about, but the pattern wasn't complete. So I knew how it fitted together, but I didn't know if it actually worked. Like if I hadn't road tested it, and I could link up parts of it, and I could see immediately that works and that works. But then there was a final section, and I looked at that and just like, I have no idea how that would work. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me when I look at it. I can't see how this suit in the tarot deck would fit with this part. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I was kind of concerned that maybe I was running with something that actually didn't hold water. But it was only when I started writing about it, and actually, what came first was a course that somebody asked me to do. And as I started writing the course, all of a sudden, everything started to slot into place. And it was only when I was writing the very last bit, which was this bit that I didn't understand, when I started writing it, all of a sudden, what became clear was that it was perfect. In ways that I couldn't possibly have imagined it being perfect. And it was so exciting because it's like, oh my God, look at it. It's fantastic. It all fits. It's like it was already there. I hadn't seen it, but it was already there, and it was just waiting at the other end of the road. I didn't need to know it at first. All I needed to do is do the work and walk the path and get there. And then it was sort of like it unveiled itself, which was, it was incredible. And I was blown away by the whole thing. And it led me to see the tarot system in a completely different way. And it revealed itself to be a map. We think of tarot as a divination system, and yes, of course, it works like that. No one's saying it doesn't, it does. But the tarot system itself, when you lay it out, it's a map. And within that map is, if you like, a message. And the message is how to live a happy, sustainable, abundant life that is of your choosing. And the interesting thing is that when you boil the message down to its absolute, what it's about, it's the same message, Dan, that would have been taught by Jesus before it all got messed up. And I can track it back to Aristotle and Socrates. You can see parallels with that teaching. It's the same message, and it's being delivered time and again. And every time it gets delivered, it gets kind of subverted and changed and made to fit certain rhetorics. But the message in and of itself is actually quite simple and really beautiful and really loving and really profound. And I think tarot isn't, I think tarot is a delivery system for the same message. And the good thing about tarot is it's not controlled by anybody. It doesn't have, you don't have to believe anything. You don't have to do anything. There's no rules attached to it. You can you can engage or not as you see fit. And I
Yeah,
think that's the point of it. We
I
have
like it.
complete free will
Yeah.
there if we want to use it. If not, have at it. All good. See how that works. That's cool. You go for it.
Yeah. No, that's another one of these little lines that I think of is that when I'm trying to get you know, feel that I've got some knowledge to help or guide somebody, that a lot of times that I just got to let them have their journey, and it's apparent that I'm not. This role is not conducive with that, and I had to step back and let them find their way.
Yeah,
You said, it does seem to be that like every time uh, some, I don't know, I'm just making a stretch here, but some profound teaching comes down the line. Somebody does seem to come and muck it up. Us humans seem to be fantastic at that and what it is about power, prestige, and various things that cause us to go, oh, you don't really understand this. Let me tell you what this
yeah,
is. And then down the road, we've mucked it up. And I think there's quite a few things like that. It's
yeah,
interesting. I don't have my, I'm a yoga teacher, and I stumbled into yoga 10 years ago and through a 12-step program. It was a half 12-step meeting, half yoga practice. And I walked out of there going, uh-oh, something touched me in that practice that I didn't understand, but I knew I'd be back. And here I am 10 years later, still going back. But those communities is where I got in contact with people who were reading cards.
yeah,
I'll go to yoga festivals and things like that. Inherently, there'd be some number of a few people that would be practicing that. Now, I'll be honest, I'm almost, and especially at the beginning, I'm more now, but I was terrified to do it in the beginning uh, because I didn't, I thought they were going to like tell me something that I didn't want to know,
right.
that I was going to get some piece of information or something that I wouldn't know how to deal with. And of course,
Yeah.
most of this speech that I'm using today is rear view mirror stuff. I wasn't like processing that at the time. All I knew is like, maybe not. Here, bud, that I'm with, you go do it. Let's see if
Yeah.
you come out of there alive. And then if you do, maybe I will too. So I don't know that much about it, but I've got a lot of it. And it's a funny thing too that like I've noticed lately breath work has been like thrown at me from various angles. Like every other day somebody was on the podcast. I've had two guests lately that was their thing. And I also kind of go, okay, well, I'm being told to pay attention to that. And that's the way and that has worked for me over this bunch of years that I've been trying to open myself to these things. So when I go, I even gaze upward and go, okay, I hear you. Uh, I'll do a little more exploration there, and wondering if tarot is not on that list here because it seems to be flashing a light. I always say it taps me on the shoulder gently. It's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah. I
oh,
mean, it all works
hey,
together, you know. It's all part of the same picture, isn't it? It's all about us finding a way to a truth that makes sense to us. And I think they're all components of the same tapestry, if
yeah.
you
I look
like.
at it all like weaving in
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
together. So you actually have had your own deck created.
yeah,
I bet you
yeah.
that's an undertaking.
Oh my God, it's huge.
Yeah, I would
There
think.
you go. There it
I mean,
is.
it's just super cool artwork, first
Yeah,
off, on just the surface, right? I
yeah.
mean, who can't look at the cards and go, that's
Yeah.
cool, that's neat, that's interesting, that's
Right.
uh, my son has
It's yeah,
my son has these metal signs on, that he buys and puts on the walls in his bedroom. And to me, when I
yeah.
look at them, they look like big tarot cards. That's the
Ah,
image, that's
cool.
the imagery that I see. There's no. label or anything to say in that, but that's my mind when I look at them. I think that because they look a lot like the images that are up on your wall behind you.
Yeah. And you know what? The thing is that they're universal. And the idea with tarot is that each card symbolizes something that we recognize. And so our subconscious doesn't really hear language. It recognizes feeling and symbolism and
Mm.
imagery. It doesn't know words or language really. It goes with the intensity that our feeling, our reactions to things, and also um, we can respond to a symbol that we don't even know what it means, but our subconscious will get it because
Mm.
it seems to be written into our DNA. And so tarot works on that basis. So it's the cards are like a code, and tarot is everywhere. It doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what language you speak. Everybody can read the code. All we have to do is just kind of drill down a little bit and just understand what it's talking about, and then everybody can use it. And that's the point. It's not coded so that it's secret or that it's mysterious. It's coded so that it's universal. And that's the wonderful thing about it, is the fact that it's open source and nobody controls it, which is good. I mean, it can I danger is it can get a little diluted, but we have to trust the energy that it's going to take care of itself, and the right thing will surface, because that's what it is. It is its own organism, and it finds its own way. And so we just have to trust that that's the case, and it will evolve as it is evolving with us on our journey. It's a fascinating thing. Tarot's journey has been fascinating. And you know what? The thing is that it does feel subversive. And Dan, you said, I would have poo-pooed this years ago. Of course, it's not logical in the slightest bit, is it? It doesn't have makes no sense at all to anybody. 78 pieces of cardboard with pictures on. What the hell? I mean, really, it's I friends of mine I go, well, it's fake, isn't it? Until they've had a reading, then they don't think it's so fake. And it's really quite interesting. And it's like it's a miracle, really, in many ways. This the way it gives us this ability to connect in to information that we can possibly know. I mean, I've been doing this now for over 20 years, and I still get blown away with it. It's like still going, what the hell? It's amazing. It blows your mind.
I think that's kind of a sense, at least again, in my opinion, uh, evidence of the divine being there is that the continually evolves. So we joke around about the big book Alcoholics Anonymous having wet ink in it. Like you can read it and read it and read it, and you'll read something tomorrow. And I've been reading it for years, and all of a sudden something is there that I don't recall. And I know
Yeah.
people talk about the Bible in the same way. If they study that, they can have that same kind of inspiration and most things that have uh, and I believe those things are divine. I believe both of those things are divine,
Yeah,
and the same
sure.
thing with this, and because it's not, again, I always thought that you had this telescope, and it was the only thing you could see was what's through that tube, and I know that's not the truth today. But the fact that it continues to evolve for you and continues to bring new fruit and new inspiration and insight and stuff on a regular basis says something about what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So how does
it's
people get like if you just didn't know anything about tarot but were interested in it, what would a person maybe do?
well, I suggest they contact me, of course. I mean, what most people do is they find a book, or of course, they go online. Now it is, I'm gonna say this is where it gets tricky.
Yeah,
And
because if
this
you
is
would go
where
on
the fact,
Amazon and say tarot
yeah,
cards,
it's
you're going to be
there's a lot
overwhelmed.
of man. And the problem is that there are loads of people out there, on YouTube and stuff, and all they're interested in is the clicks and the numbers. And so I'm watching them drawing cards rapid fire. If somebody's doing that and you're watching them and they're going like the clappers and they're doing it quick and it's just a stream of consciousness, quick, 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 saying stuff, I would step off that, because
Hmm.
I'm gonna be honest, that's fake. When I listen, I know my stuff and I listen to what they're saying and I'm going, this person has no idea what they're talking about. It is complete nonsense. And it's just a lot of words that's designed to, bits of it will connect with some people. And so it's designed to be, terror is universal, but that's just scattergun. And that's not okay. And so that becomes a grift, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And people get very addicted to it because it's quite exciting to watch, and they think, oh well, that made a bit of sense to me, right? And if you're watching this, your boyfriend will call you, your ex is thinking about you, and he'll be calling you in the next week, going, oh wow, will he really? No, of course he won't. Don't talk rubbish. It's not, this is nonsense. This is it's just so they can get you clicking and liking and subscribing, and it's just, there's nothing here, it's not real. So we have to be really careful, consider the source, you know so there are those people out there who are really good and who are considered, and if you use your head and put your sensible head on, you can tell who's sensible and who isn't.
Hmm.
Um, I teach a method that doesn't require hardline memorization, because we've got 78 cards, and how most people learn is to try and memorize individually each of the 78 cards. And that's how I learned, Dan.
Hmm.
It took It's horrendous. It's a horrible way to learn. And it's very hard to make sense of the cards when you're learning them individually, because they're not connected to each other. And so when we learn like that, the readings can feel very ambiguous and very confusing. But when we learn tarot as a system, and we learn the stories that run through the tarot system, then the cards are in context. And then when you learn that these 10 cards tell you a story, and you've lived that story because you will have lived that story, now whenever you look at one of those cards in that story, you won't forget it because you've lived it and you've connected to it. So the story makes sense. And when
Hmm.
the story makes sense, we're humans, we've learned through storytelling for millennia. Before we could write, we would tell each other stories. That's how we learned. And tarot is the same one. We learn through the stories that run through it like a river, and it connects to us on a primarily human level. It just connects us in. And suddenly the cards, we don't have to learn the cards because we already know them.
Hmm.
That's the point. When we realize that we already know them, then it goes to another level.
Interesting. It's like right over me. I get it. I get it. I do. It's landing, but there's a disconnect from my familiarity with it that
Yeah.
um, I have done a few things. Like I've had a guy who was and I'm not sure, the astral stuff where they take your birth date and your time and that kind of thing. And then he did a reading for me, and he was unbelievably accurate for a dude who didn't know me, you know,
Mm,
that and it was one thing, and this is the other where in my 12-step journey, I didn't believe that any of this stuff was really real. It was more of a force thing. I was looking at some prison time, and nobody was really offering me any help but the 12-step community. So I was like, did a Hail Mary pass and said, okay, uh,
mm,
I hope this works. And
Yeah, yeah.
it did. But what happened over time was that that this evidence, these things what started piling up and creating my faith and my belief as I saw the evidence. And like you said, I think in the similar kind of sense, if you see this storyline play out that actually played out in your life, well, that will it lends
Yeah.
credence. It's almost like and this is Southern Indiana hillbilly kind of way of putting it, but it's saying, okay, so you don't believe me, let me show you this and see if I can get some belief
Mm,
out of you, so see if I can't start helping you trust in me, whatever that is,
yeah,
I don't,
yeah.
but and the same thing happened with my 12-step journey is that things started going better and these really, really cool I have a miracle list in my phone of these really cool things that could not be explained by any kind of like real substance. You couldn't say, okay, this happened because of that. There was no explanation around some of this stuff. And I came to believe that it was working in my life. And when I started having that conscious belief in it, it was a snowball effect where more and more good happened. I'm afraid I lost you because you got real still. I wonder how many minutes we're
Oh,
in.
I'm okay. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Can
I feel like I lost
can
you for a minute, and
you
your
hear
image
me?
is still. Now you're moving again.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you
Oh,
lose me
good.
completely?
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry.
No big deal. Sometimes I wonder if, and I don't know if I might be talking again and you don't hear me, that there isn't some kind of force of some. Oh, there you went. Let's see. We'll try again. I bet she'll sign back in. I don't have too many tech issues. Although, as of some time ago, I started hardwiring my computer in. Oh, you just popped right in now. I don't know what that is. But we're still.
I- I'm yeah. Can you hear me? I don't know
It's
what's
coming
going on.
back.
Yeah.
Now it says
I'm
your
so
network
sorry.
bandwidth is low.
We seem to be
No big
having,
deal. Some kind of
okay.
connection issues.
Are we okay?
But you're here. Yeah, you're here with me and it seems to be I don't, you know, some time ago I ended up hardwiring my internet and quit relying on my Wi-Fi. Uh, because of I was starting to have some little bit of connectivity issues now and again, but it's just part of doing it. I'm not too
Yeah,
worried about it.
that's
Can you hear me?
that's happened. That seems to be happening today. I don't know why, but you'll have to forgive me. I've got no idea
There's
what's
no,
going on. We have a
yeah, hey, it's no big deal. I don't sweat too much stuff of that nature. I did we missed a little bit, but and I always say like that's one of my biggest fears. Sometimes I will do something and I'm afraid I lost it. And I try it like I go, man, how can and I can never like do it again. It's all off your hair, your chinny chin chin,
yes.
and and now with a little bit of interruption, I don't even remember what was going on. But my point is that like the universe seems to give you those nudges that says, hey, look here, this is real, and you can trust in it and believe in it. And how else would that story get laid out in a
Yeah.
handful of cards if there wasn't something real to that? I don't know. I quit believing in coincidences some time ago. Recovery also kind of I know they still exist. Coincidences still exist,
Yeah.
uh, but I also can feel usually in my heart when I'm experiencing one of those versus something I should be paying attention to. So do you do private sessions like through the internet? Do you do
Yeah. I
readings
mean,
like
it's
on Zoom and stuff?
oh yeah, yeah. No, I do. Yes, yes, I do. I do readings for people, absolutely, and obviously I teach as well. Um, and to be able to sort of demonstrate to people how useful it is, I think it's because it's actually quite practical. you know. And it doesn't take long before, most of my students who have come to me have come for a reading first, and maybe they haven't particularly thought about reading tarot. They had a reading, it's like, whoa, what's this about them? That's okay, that's weird, but amazing. What can I do? Can I find out more? And really that's how I came to tarot as well. I had a very profound reading. I was drawn to go to a specific reader through a meditation. And I had a very strange experience and was handed a white stone egg in a meditation that had a white bird. And I said, oh, that's a white dove. And then a few weeks later, I was in London and I was going through a difficult time and went in, sort of tarot readings. Thought, well, maybe I'll get some answers there. And walked in, and the reader there was called White Dove,
Hmm.
and that was the reading that changed my life, and that's what brought me to tarot, really. And there's a lot more to it, but yeah, it was quite bizarre. So sometimes we have to experience something in order to really know whether it's for us or not, you know. So,
And it's always
um,
interesting to
but
me,
yeah,
like how these difficult times in one's life will tends to like bring people over and over and over again to the door that they needed to be
mm,
at. It's uncanny. And of course, in
yeah,
12 step recovery, it's our bottom and it's our other stuff that, what looked like could have been the worst thing could have ever happened to me ended up being the best thing that could ever happen to me.
yeah,
Uh,
of
and it's
course,
just uncanny how often that happens. And I try to, run into a lot of people that are in tight spots and having rough time, and I still can believe that, this is just a little gauntlet you got to run for a minute to get to where you should be, where you can be. Um,
yeah.
but you just got to go through this rough patch, and it seems that's just part of life. It just is. Don't give up. Don't. We say in recovery, don't quit until the miracle happens, because that tends to be a thing that we'll do is to stop when it gets hard, and that's not been a good course of action for me, other than, I always have two sides of the coin. Sometimes it is time to rest. And you've gotten still again.
Can can you hear me? Is this all right?
You just come back. I can tell
Oh
you get real
God.
still
Oh
once in a while. And but I think it'll be
yeah.
okay. I don't think they're we'll again, I play the cards I'm dealt. Uh, I don't get too wound up in it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm gonna have to look at changing internet providers.
I just did a month or so ago. I tend to flip flop back and forth between the two main ones here, because they offer me deals that, one of them raises their prices beyond what I'm comfortable with, and the other one comes in and makes me an offer I can't refuse. And then they raise prices over a few
Yeah.
years and we do it all over again. Problem is, you got to wire the house up
Mm.
over and
Oh,
over again. Our main competitors have two different
yeah.
wiring
Yeah.
systems.
Well, it's the same.
Yeah. So
Oh,
let's
it's the same here.
you went away again. And I never know. Sometimes this stuff records, even though the connection is struggling. Sometimes it's just our connection that's having the problem, but the cloud recording comes on through, probably talking over you.
it's a big old can of worms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Uh-oh. There you disappeared again. Well, I'll tell you, if it ends up being something, we'll just do it again, and another day will be better service for some reason or another. But I sometimes too, and I don't know if you heard me, but sometimes the Zoom keeps on recording and everything is okay, even though our connection, like we're not
Okay.
interacting, so it gets a little sketchy in that because we can be talking over one another at the same time and not knowing it. Uh, uh, Before it gets too bad, let's give it a try and see. How about give yourself, tell us where to
Yeah.
find you and what the book is, because I think the title of the book is behind you, but you're sitting in front of it a little bit. I can't see the whole thing. So tell us what the title of the book is and where to find it and how to get in contact with you. Actually, I have your website up on my phone right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can find everything you need on janisking.uk, and that's Janis with an IS like Joplin. So Janis king.uk. And everything is there. So the book is there, the deck is there, my teaching is there. You can get in contact with me through that simple link. That's all there. And if anybody has any questions, I'm always happy. They just have to email me, and I'm always happy to answer any questions anybody might have. If they just have questions around tarot or any part of it, then I'm just always happy to tell anybody there's no, nobody needs to worry, that they're going to get pulled into anything, and they're not. Just ask what you need to ask, and I'm always open to help people in any way that is right for them.
Well, your energy has drawn me in, and I think I want to too. So I'll probably be getting a hold of you because I'm interested. I don't know, when people, I think of this as like life is having this big toolbox next to me, and I keep on running into people that have tools and things, and it seems like I'm kind of being tapped on the shoulder to explore a new tool. So I think I'll do that. You've gotten real still again, and there you're moving again.
Yeah. Well, if I can help, then yeah. If I can help, I'm very happy to.
All right. Well, I will be in touch with you because I am interested in and frankly, I've been with some people that were like what you said that seemed to be a little bit of a spinster, and sometimes that's turn you off. I'm obviously not. I feel differently here, so that interests me. I do notice that the primarily female oriented. It
Mm.
seems I don't know a single dude personally, and I don't know
Ah,
that many. But I can't think of ever seeing a male doing card readings, tarot card readings.
oh no, there are. Yeah, no, there are some very, very good readers. I mean, I am very long-standing friends with a guy, my friend Ray, who I learned with. He's a very good reader. I have some guys. I have a guy called John. There are definitely more women, but there are a lot of guys. There are, and
Well,
they're very good. I mean, why would they not
uh,
be? We're all human
yep,
beings. It doesn't
just
matter
my
what
experience,
gender you
and
are.
it's the same thing. I'm running into it in the yoga community, which is in my area primarily females as well. So it's just probably the environment I happen to be hanging around in is making it look that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of guys maybe aren't as instinctively as comfortable with the slightly more, esoteric or um I think it's getting better
me too.
for sure.
I'm evidence of
Um
that.
but I think we're perhaps more natural. Okay. Are we
Yeah,
okay?
we
Are we
probably should.
back?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm so
we are back.
embarrassed about this. I can't tell you.
Yeah, it's not your fault. It's not. It's just
Okay, that's good.
it's just the thing, you know. It's what are you gonna do about it? The it does it
Uh,
obviously has an interruption in our flow and ability to move along. And that's what I worry about more than anything else, but it's not a big
yeah,
deal. And if it's
I think I
I'll
think
get a
it's
hold of
really
you. Go ahead. That's the problem is we'll talk over one another. If I can't put a
okay.
podcast together out of it, we will do it again. And I know
No,
we
it's okay.
will have better luck if you just keep on trying. That's another thing. Keep trying.
Yeah, I was I worse than I think we're struggling here, aren't we?
Yeah, we're struggling. So I'm gonna let you go on with my day. I got a lunch date with an old buddy today, and then another appointment later on this evening with a full day. We say I don't like to say I'm busy. I saw a meme that said, "Let's quit telling each other how busy we are." My life is full today, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Get
It's
to do a lot of
yeah, it's
cool things.
lovely to have a full life.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're aiming at. All right. Well, it was great to meet you. I will be back in touch and I will definitely, and most of the time, I only wait a few days before putting the podcast out. I don't wait. I
Wait,
don't stall. I mean, it wouldn't be surprised if I don't have this thing out before the end of the week, maybe midweek. But I'll put it together. And if it seems
okay.
to be that I don't feel 100% comfortable with it, I will contact you and we'll do it again. And you froze up again.
I really appreciate it, and I'm sorry for the disturbance. I'm going to have to get real serious about this.
I mean, who knows? It could be a
Trying to find a
squirrel chewing on
provider
a
where it
wire.
doesn't drop out.
Yeah, but it could be a squirrel out there chewing on the wire
Could
today.
be.
It could be nobody could do anything about that, you know? So who knows what it is? We have that problem here. Our squirrels chew
Absolutely.
on everything and they're a constant problem.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great rest of your Monday evening. It was
Well,
great
it
to
was
meet
lovely
you.
to meet you.